this game. When we go into the game and we see AD get hurt in the first 2-3 minutes, mentally, that takes a shot at the team because already, everything is so high being that it's the playoffs. But now in the finals, if you know these things going into the game as Halliburton's teammate, you can attack the game in a different aspect, right? You can be more aggressive knowing that he's not going to be out here and we have to play a certain way with him not out there. Or you can go into the aspect of not knowing too much about the injury and how much can he actually get and waiting to see how much can he get. And that could that could be a big mental swing for the team.
It's an interesting way to look at it. And so because there are really two decisions here. Windy just said the decision on whether or not he's healthy enough to give it a go has most likely been made based upon the injury designation they gave you yesterday. But whether he can be effective or not is something that doctors can't decide, right? That's something coaches and others will decide.
And it's a calf.
Yeah,
and it's
go ahead,
a calf
Marquis.
also, not to cut you off, Greeny. I was with Luka this year in Dallas, and he had a calf strain, and he was almost out 2 months. You know what I mean? And you want a guy that play at the pace that Tyrese Halliburton plays at and the pace that Indiana plays at with a calf injury 2 days later. Like that it seems almost impossible that he's going to be able to give that same type of push with that being the case. I mean, obviously last game he was limping a little bit, but that kind of hindered the team because he wasn't as aggressive. He wasn't able to get to his spots and make the plays that he's been making for the team.
Windy, what is it you told us this morning about players who had this injury all season long in the NBA?
Yeah, In Street Clothes, which is a website that tracks NBA injuries, had 23 players diagnosed with calf strains in the NBA this regular season. 22 of them missed at least one game. So this is an injury that if it was the regular season, there's no way he would likely play.
Okay, so we know that, but we know this isn't that. So, Harry, I just thought, and the mentality of a football player we know is, because every game feels like it is, for the championship. Tonight quite literally is for the championship. Can you describe the pressure you would imagine he's feeling not to let down his teammates, his organization, his city, his legacy, and everything else, what he must be going through getting set for this game tonight?
Greeny, it's at an all-time high for Tyrese Halliburton. It's an extreme level of pressure for him to be able to get it done and win a Game 6, stave off elimination, and be able to force a Game 7. Now, I would also say this. From a player perspective, it will be a cold day in hell before a player sits there and tell you, hey, I can't go, especially when you're the main attraction for the Indiana Pacers. You're the leader of that organization. The flip side of that, if you're Rick Carlisle, the doctors, and the training staff, you also have to look at certain things that have transpired over the last few years within the NBA and also around sports. From a calf injury standpoint, you see guys out here tearing Achilles. So do you really want to compromise the organization and take that chance of what possibly could happen if things go wrong? You can't just look at the pros. You also have to look at the cons, because right now in the Eastern Conference, Indiana is set up perfectly for next season, where a lot of teams are not because of that injury history and that injury bug that's hit a lot of other teams in the Eastern Conference.
OKC's a 6.5-point favorite tonight. Monica, let's talk about the game. You've been talking, you were here with me yesterday, about having 2 game plans, right? So there really is an entirely different look that this team will have if they have Halliburton, or if he is, again, Windy is saying he's most likely going to give this thing a go. But if he's able to really be effective or if he's not, what do those look like?
While Halliburton is the franchise guy, the success of the Pacers in this postseason and this season at large has been about the collective, the sum of their parts. So to me, the formula tonight...
He's gonna put him in a leg lock. It's over. No.
First of all, as a team, they limit turnovers. You can't give up 32 points to this OKC defense. Then I think they've got to get back to their three-point shooting ways. Like, they've not shot the three as well in this series as they had through the previous series, but they are back at home. Nembhard, Nesmith, all those guys tend to shoot better at home. And then the last one for me is they've got to continue to get out in the fast break, right? Will it require sort of a monster game, maybe a Pascal Siakam 40 and 10 or an Aaron Nesmith out-of-body experience in terms of shooting threes again? Possibly. But to me, the turnovers are the biggest piece of this one. And just like we've seen all postseason for these guys, if they get it to clutch time in Indiana, I think they give themselves a chance.
Maybe something crazy happens. I think it is likely that he, if they win, will be the Finals MVP as well. So in a world in which that happens, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but it feels worth asking as a historian of the